Hey, hey, hey. Happy Thursday. Come on in. Pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host, here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch. Welcome aboard. Tonight is Thursday, September 14th, 2023. This is live stream 965, which means there's only 34 episodes left before we hit episode 1000. Oh, psych! If you're not overly familiar with this show, let me point out, super casual, just hanging out, talking about the latest in tabletop gaming news. And then we will take a live first look at a game, or I'll share a live review of a game. Well, tonight we are going to dive on in. We're going to take a first look and page through Basic Roleplaying from Chaosium Inc. This is the latest edition. For some reason, I want to say it's the 5th edition of what a lot of people refer to as BRP. And we are going to be taking a look in just a bit. Of course, if you are tuning in because you want to see the first look at Basic Role-Playing, should mention we always tackle the tabletop gaming news first around here. So it's probably going to be about 35, 40, maybe a little bit more than that, minutes-wise, before we get into that first look. So if you're watching live, just kick back, relax, put your feet up. Closing in on the weekend. Yes, it is Thursday. Soon it'll be Friday. And then it'll be Saturday and Sunday. I mean, that's at least how weeks work for me. Anyway, so just kick back, relax. We'll get to it. If you're super impatient, well, deal with it. That's if you're watching live. Now, if you're watching 30 minutes or more after the show ends, there will be timestamps. So you'll be able to jump past the tabletop gaming news and my random musings if you would like, if you really are that impatient, and jump right on into the first look. Now, those show notes will be located in the, those timestamps will be located in the show notes. And depending on what device you might be watching this on, might be right there in the timeline in front of you. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more that you won't find here on the YouTube channel. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. And because this is a live show, that means there is chat available. It's not on screen. It's one of the ways I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. And you must be a subscriber to the channel for at least 48 hours before you can take part in chat. Yet another way that I keep some of those more unusual commenters at bay. But if you want to say howdy, maybe you've got a question or comment, maybe there's something about basic role-playing you want a closer look at, by all means, chime in. I'll do my best to respond. First out the gate tonight was the Motor City Madman himself. Yes, the Madman, one of our chat moderators, is first out the gate. We also have Kathy Evans, Scott B. Smith, Shaz, Eric Hill, Testy Trekkie is here also. So we've got chat off and running already. Testy Trekkie mentions things I never thought I'd live to see. The final PDF of Far West. When they backed it, they hadn't even met their spouse yet. was still doing a PhD and never thought he'd have kids. Well, yeah, just think you could have sat there and you could have backed Far West, gone to medical school. You'd probably already be finishing off your residency. As I mentioned before, it's not a release that I'm really going to cover. I've just been some bad blood that I've heard throughout the years regarding that Kickstarter, so I have plenty of other games I can cover. Also, should mention last night, I don't know what's up with YouTube, but it chopped off about the first 5 minutes of the show. It's like the stream suddenly, with the rendered video, picks up with me saying, oh, yeah, we're taking a look at... It's like, the hell's going on? YouTube wants more people to live stream, yet things like that happen all the time. They're always... And that's why if you watch this show after the fact, after the stream has ended, if you tune in and you weren't watching live, you'll notice there's almost always, if YouTube doesn't cut the beginning off, you'll see there's a few seconds of just a little intro screen, which I'm not real keen on, but I do that because I know when I start the stream, it's a crapshoot if YouTube's going to actually start streaming it at that point, if it's going to wait a few seconds or what. So I was like, every once in a while, we'll actually see a bit of time drop out of the show as well. So I have seen some episodes and actually received emails first, and that's why I've taken a peek, where all of a sudden, there's like 2-3 minutes that have dropped in the middle of a stream. It's like, I know if there's a problem on my end, which taking a look at tonight, there's absolutely none. Knock on wood, of course. So welcome, everybody. Let's jump on into the news. Oh, Tessie Trekkie says, 150-word review. Its setting is a glorious combination of Wild West and, isn't it Wuxia or Wuxia movies? Wuxia. And I guess Tessie Trekkie really digs it. It's a hack of OpenD6 and Fate, but the character artwork hurts their eyes. I don't know. I don't seem to recall the artwork. Well, maybe that's the cover artwork. I was going to say, I seem to recall it looked all right. I mean, it's been a long time since I actually took a peek. All right, on to the news. Because the Magnus Archive role-playing game is about to enter its final week of crowdfunding for Monte Cook Games. Here's the latest. In the Magnus Archives role-playing game, you play as a member of an investigative team researching reports of supernatural activity. For 200 years, the Magnus Institute has quietly collected statements from people of all walks of life, detailing their personal experiences with the supernatural. And you're part of that organization, or one very much like it. Your records are filled with disparate statements of bizarre occurrences, usually with a very chilling edge. Statements discuss people or creatures, such as an odd figure that beckons drunken pubgoers into an alleyway, never to be seen again. I assume it's the pubgoers, not the odd figure. Items like a meat grinder that somehow compels its users to merely feed it their own limbs. Events like a late-night subway trip in which the train burrowed itself into the earth, all but crushing its lone occupant. And books with extraordinary powers, such as The Bone Turner's Tale, which seems to give one who reads it the grisly power to rearrange the bones of others. An astonishing number of these books seem to trace back to a particular private library owned by the enigmatic Jürgen Leitner. Your organization is dedicated to cataloging and researching these incidents, not fighting or confronting the supernatural. But it's becoming clear these events aren't disparate as they first appear. They are connections between them, connections that suggest existential dangers to the world as we know it. How will you combat them when simply coming to understand these dark forces threatens to bring you under their influence? This game is based on the entirety, all 5 seasons, of the Magnus Archives podcast. For those of you who have experienced every episode, you know that there are secrets unveiled all the way up to the very end. There is a short minute and a half video here, so let's take a peek.
The Magnus Archives is an award-winning horror podcast examining what lurks in the archives of the Magnus Institute, an organization dedicated to researching the esoteric and the weird. It follows head archivist Jonathan Sims as he attempts to bring a seemingly neglected collection of supernatural statements up to date, converting them to audio and supplementing them with follow-up work from his small but dedicated team. Individually, these stories, these statements, are unsettling. Together they begin to form a picture that is truly horrifying, because as they look into the depths of the archives, something starts to look back. Now, finally, you can enter the archives yourself as a player or as a GM, investigating the supernatural horrors found in the podcast or those you create on your own. Work alongside Jonathan and Martin, Basira, Daisy, and the rest of the staff. Encounter the not them, the anglerfish, or the man upon the stair. Learn the truth of the books of Jürgen Leitner, the coffin that is also a pit, and the People's Church of the Divine Host, and face the effects of these secrets upon the world and yourself.
The Magnus Archives has passed the $1.4 million mark in funding over at BackerKit. You can reserve a copy of the hardcover core book with PDF for a $75 pledge. You can grab just the PDF alone for a $30 pledge through September 22nd. There are other pledge levels that are available as well. Just wanted to give you the 2 main pledge levels. Expected delivery is in late 2024. Another horror podcast that Monte Cook Games is adapting as a role-playing game. Now, we know they had a very successful Kickstarter for Old Gods of Appalachia. I will point out, I am not familiar with this podcast. This podcast has run its course, so it is finished, to my knowledge. That's why there's mention of the entirety of the podcast is covered in this role-playing game, all 5 seasons. Kind of interesting, yes. Although it's kind of weird because it's mentioned that, well, you're not there to fight the horrors. You're just kind of cataloging things. And then later in the sell sheet info, it says, how are you going to fight them? It's like, I thought you weren't supposed to be fighting them. Tessie Trekkie says, these horror podcasts lend themselves towards that sort of investigation-based game. Oh, yeah, quite easily. Most definitely. Lord Cost 2000 and Flaming Huron are with us. So we've got 2 of our chat moderators. I'll take a wild stab in the dark that another of our chat moderators might be lurking. So a big howdy to Sarah D, if she happens to be watching. Let's move on to the next news piece because there are 2 new supplements available from Fat Goblin Games. Here's what I know about the Overland Expeditions handbooks around the campfire, as well as hunting and trapping. A handbook for Overland Expeditions around the campfire is a downtime activity zine with a focus on setting up camp and keeping busy between adventuring, and explores the challenges and difficulties of sleeping in the rough, meeting other basic needs as well. Players can work together to complete one or all of these tasks each time camp is set, or divide the workload amongst each other. Prepare yourself for the ultimate adventure as you delve into the pages of Hunting and Trapping, a handbook for overland expeditions. This extraordinary downtime activity zine is tailor-made for brave souls who crave the challenge of surviving in the untamed wilderness. Unleash your primal instincts and conquer the rugged outdoors as you learn the art of hunting and trapping. This captivating handbook delves deep into the intricacies of wilderness survival, guiding you through the trials and tribulations of sourcing food in the most unforgiving landscapes. Whether you're a lone explorer or part of a daring team, Hunting and Trapping offers a versatile gaming experience. Each time you set up camp, engage in thrilling cooperative gameplay by undertaking the exhilarating tasks within. From tracking elusive prey to setting up clever traps. I've got a clever trap, me lord. You'll find yourself fully immersed in the struggle for sustenance. We've carefully crafted these rules to ensure they can seamlessly integrate into various systems, allowing the game master to tailor the experience to their preferred style. While designed to be self-contained, the flexibility of Hunting and Trapping and Around the Campfire, right? Both of them empowers the game master to customize the gameplay to fit their chosen system perfectly. So gather your companions and prepare for an unforgettable wilderness expedition. Each of these handbooks are available from DriveThruRPG as soft covers. I do believe Around the Campfire clocks in at 48 pages and Hunting and Trapping clocks in at 38 pages. The soft covers are available for MSRPs of $11.95 each, or you can grab them in PDF for $3.95 each. Thought these sounded interesting. Now, I'm kind of curious. If you are a game master out there, and let's say you run a fantasy role-playing game, do you get deep into, I guess, deep into the woods as far as your overland adventuring, as far as your downtime for setting up camp or finding provender? I don't know. I mean, in my opinion, this is just me. Just me. I'm not trying to dissuade anybody from checking this stuff out. But for myself, because people's game sessions are so short nowadays, I mean, if somebody said, hey, Jeff, would you come over and run a role-playing game for 4 hours? I'd say, no, I would. I'd say, well, if you want to do 6 or more, yeah, sure. But four's not really worth my time. But a lot of people, they play 3 or 4 hour sessions. Do you want to invest that much time into just busy work? I don't know. Kind of curious. Sarah D is with us. She's pointing out that Mr. Eddie T is recovered from his double ear infection. That's good. Hopefully Sarah D is doing well with her leg surgery as well. Once again, this is Around the Campfire and Hunting and Trapping. On to the next news piece, you will notice it's all role-playing game news tonight. Ken St. Andre's Monsters role-playing game is about to receive a new edition by way of Kickstarter, and the Adventure Troll Gods Crystal Caverns Challenge, so that 5 times fast, is also part of this project. Here's the scoop. Monsters 2.7 edition Wirebound. These updated rules have been published to expand the scope of the 2.0 Monsters rules. The new 2.7 rules include small changes, some expansion on rules, and a whole new section about how magic works on Zimralia, or Zimrala, I think is how it's pronounced, with a larger expanded spell list and a lot more weapons and other lists. There'll also be some new information about the world of Zimrala. Why do I keep wanting to say it's something different? It's Zimrala. Camel. That spells camel. Yes, I know. You'd have to understand some old-time radio for that. Sarah D says she's healed up from surgery number 3, prepping for number 4, hopefully the last one. Yes, I would hope that's your last one as well. Yes. It's C. Well, I'm sorry. Camel. C. Nah, I'm not even going to go into it. You guys will be sitting there like, what the hell is he talking about? Okay. C for comedy, A for Abbott, M for Maxwell, E for Ennis, and L for Lou Costello. What's that spell? Camel. Yes, they were the sponsors of the Abbott and Costello. Man, why can't I talk tonight? Weird. I'm actually reading the teleprompter while I'm talking about something else. That's probably what's throwing me there. Yes, Camel Cigarettes were the hosts of the Abbott and Costello radio show way back in the day. To make this book really special, talking Monsters 2.7, we're going to have it all wire spiral bound, which means you'll be able to open it flat, never have to worry about the spine wearing out. This version will be perfect for game masters, collectors, and avid readers, as we are only going to make these spiral bound rule books for this Kickstarter, then never again. The last time Monsters was spiral bound was 1980. Troll God's Crystal Caverns Challenge, a new solo and GM adventure for Monsters by Ken St. Andre, with art by Simon Tranter and Steve Crompton. On the new planet of Zimrala, I think I said it right this time, Gristle Grim, the dwarf god, and Ken the troll god, find themselves working together to carve out new homes for their people. They both operated dungeons for fun and profit back on Troll World, decided to do the same on Zimrala. The result was the Crystal Caves Challenge, a place to test potential recruits, have some fun, and imprison someone dangerous. Very dangerous to dwarves, trolls, and all natural Zimralan creatures. This book also includes a GM adventure that reveals the secret underground city of Gristle Grim, currently under construction on Zimrala. This project is just about to enter its final week. It is just shy of 200% funding as of this recording. And you can reserve physical copies of both titles for a $52 pledge, or score them in PDF for a $15 pledge through September 22nd, with expected delivery this December on both digital and physical items. Not too shabby. I really like Tunnels and Trolls. I feel bad that it's like all completely up in the air with what's going on with it. Now, it does seem that Ken St. Andre has set up his own company now for Monsters, which is built on the Tunnels and Trolls rules, which, if I remember correctly, he wrote those too. So, but yeah, it's everything's fractured now. And I do know Tunnels and Trolls was sold to some other company. I have no idea what's going on with it right now. But one of the great things about Monsters, as well as Tunnels and Trolls, is that many of the adventures are solitaire. You can play them solo. So they have a bit of a create your own adventure sort of style to them. And that is one of the reasons why it's been so popular for so long. And then also Tunnels and Trolls. I know we're not talking monsters, but still, that's a Ken St. Andre product. Is very popular in Japan. And I know we've talked about this previously. One of the main reasons is because it only uses 6-sided dice. Never got into all the polyhedral dice that are out there. Very interesting. So by all means, check out this Kickstarter. I gotta say though, I don't think it was all that long ago that they released a 2.5. I don't know. It didn't know. So Bill N and Jack Hanks are with us in chat. Bill N says, TNT sounds dynamite. Or maybe I should say dynamite. Now available in print and PDF from Mongoose Publishing is Traveler Mysteries of the Ancients. I've got the lowdown. A request for help from an old contact leads the travelers into the mysterious and sometimes downright bizarre world of the ancient hunters. Among the weird and often deluded notables of the hunter community, there are those who seem to know something concrete. Those individuals are convinced that something is coming. Mysteries of the Ancients takes the travelers from the wacky Museum of the Ancients. It is not a word that I usually associate with traveler. Wacky. To the doomed planet of Califaction, and finally to a showdown with agents of the ancients themselves. Their guide is a horribly written book, long thought to be fiction, which tells of an ambushed convoy and the survivors' fight for survival in a wondrous technological palace. There, under the mountain known as Twilight's Peak, the travelers find their proof. Oh, and something is coming. Mysteries of the Ancients leads into the Secrets of the Ancients campaign in an epic story that concludes with Wrath of the Ancients. The 250-plus page hardcover carries an MSRP of $59.99, or you can grab just the PDF alone over at DriveThruRPG for $29.99. Yes, always very pleased to see new traveler adventures arriving. And strangely enough, this is like the first part of an epic campaign, and the other two parts have been out for a while. So I'm kind of like, It's like, wait a second. Hey, wait a second. Where do we get the Castle Old Skull from? Oh, damn it. That was yesterday's news. That's old news. Ayada. Yes, Flaming Heron's like, I guess that slide slipped in. Yep, it did. What can I tell you? That Wonderland imprints is, they're just, die hard to get you to check out Old Skull, what was it? Old Skull Sword and Sorcery. That was yesterday's news. But I thought that was kind of interesting that the other two parts of the campaign, which come later than this, are already out. It's sort of like, are you guys publishing this in the wrong order? Actually, I kind of have the impression that the folks over at Mongoose Publishing thought, hey, you know what? We could really build more into this campaign. That's it for tonight's news. Yes. Of course, I was just talking about DriveThruRPG. Don't forget, the gaming gang, thus the Dispatch, is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you are going to visit, say, DriveThruRPG or Dungeon Masters Guild, Storyteller's Vault, Wargame Vault, what have you, please stop by thegaminggang.com first. Click on one of our banner ads. That way, if you happen to make a purchase, I get a small portion of that sale. All those nickels, dimes, and quarters really do add up and help keep thegaminggang.com around. Also, if you like this video, by all means, but if you like this video, if you dig the channel, if you find thegaminggang.com to be a valuable resource, hell, if you just like what we do, you can always stop by paypal.me/thegaminggang to make a small donation. Hell, you can buy me a 2-liter bottle of soda. Thankfully, there are quite a lot of people out there who use the banner ads and or stop by paypal.me/thegaminggang, such as our friends of the show, Roger Perdome and the Madman, both of whom stopped by paypal.me/thegaminggang and made not so small donations. Thank you very much. Appreciate it, everyone who helps out in keeping thegaminggang.com around. Okay, so we're going to be jumping on in to take a look at Basic Roleplaying from Chaosium Inc. in just a few minutes. A couple of things I did want to tackle. First of all, I was talking about how October 1st, I'm going to kick off another round of old-time radio shows. These not so old. Well, 50 years, I guess old enough, because I'll be featuring CBS Radio Mystery Theater. And every night I will have a new show. I'll do a little intro host piece, then share the episode of CBS Radio Mystery Theater, and then I'll do a little bit of a wrap. So I wanted to share the opening with you and tell me what you think. So let me pop on over here and give you a peek. There you go. So that is the opening for the October Spooktacular episodes. And I will also mark it as a podcast here on YouTube, because the only video will be that opening couple of minutes. I don't know how to speak anymore. Couple of minutes of me talking, setting up the episode, and then me wrapping up, telling you what'll be on the next evening's show. And it is going to go live midnight. So every episode will go live at midnight. So stay tuned. Fleming Huron says, spooky. Fleming, the Madman says, hey now, 50 isn't old. No, I'm 56, so yeah, I'm with you on that. I don't feel old. Jack Hanks likes the open. Thank you. All right. Other thing I wanted to mention is I've had people ask me in the past. I've had a few more people asking me recently, how come I never interview any of the celebrities who play tabletop games? Like, why don't I interview Vin Diesel? Or why don't I talk to Kristen Bell? It's like, why would they want to talk to me? Right? I mean, normally when we get, so like as an example, like Vin Diesel, I think Vin Diesel still plays D&D. I know he's a big fan. And usually it's just mentioned as a one-off kind of thing, as like a throwaway. I don't think Vin Diesel's ever been like interviewed about his love of Dungeons and Dragons. I don't think. But I usually, stuff like that, when it's tossed out, it's usually for like IGN or something like that, websites like that, I would be real happy to interview anybody who's even like a C-list celebrity as far as their, their gaming preferences and what they enjoy and things like that. And funny enough, this would probably be a pretty decent time to try to do that because of the strike. Now, that doesn't mean all of these actors and actresses and writers and things like that aren't busy. It's just that they're not promoting film or television projects. So it'd be something I would be very, very interested to do. It's just reaching out to their representation. I would take a guess that there are quite a few people out there celebs who are like, I enjoy the hobby, but I don't necessarily want to be identified with it. Like Robin Williams was a big fan of Warhammer 40K, or at least he was a big fan of the miniatures. And it was not really something that was mentioned very often. In fact, I don't think he personally ever discussed it, with a reporter or anything like that. But yeah, I would sit there and do an interview with Joe I can never pronounce his name. Mr. D&D, Joe M. Connor Dunning is with us in chat, says, hey, finally got to catch you live. Welcome aboard. Thanks for hanging out. Okay, so we're going to dive on into basic role-playing in just a few moments, but first, I think it's time for a brief intermission.
Suffering from pizza cravings? Try Red Baron Pizza. Crispy crust, zesty pepperoni, sausage, mouth-watering mushroom slices. Available now at our concession stand. They say the Red Baron loved flying, but his true passion was pizza.
Sitting and a-rockin', feeling mighty blue. Sitting and a-rockin', and don't know what to do. I wish I had a bottle of more. Yeah, I wish I had a bottle of more. That satisfying flavor of National Bohemian beer.
Oh boy, what a beer!
Thinking about the flavor, light and clear. That refreshing flavor's what I want in beer. I wish I had a bottle of more. Yeah, I wish I had a bottle of more. That satisfying flavor of National Bohemian beer.
Oh boy, what a beer!
Cause with National Bohemian you will find, hey, the difference is the flavor. Satisfying kind, so refreshing. Taste it, then you'll know.
Hey, Joe? Let's go for more.
That's a National Bohemian beer.
How about some Wilkins coffee, Captain?
No!
I say, man overboard. Help.
You're playing hunter, spot, big game, load and fire. Take your power, sign her name, and cock and fire. With Johnny Eagle, you can miss. You've never seen guns like this from Johnny Eagle. Now take your army gun in hand, load and fire. With Johnny Eagle, you command, you load and fire. With Johnny Eagle, lots of fun. You've never seen an army gun like Johnny Eagle. You're in the west of yesterday, load and fire. You're Johnny Eagle's say you aim and fire. Never done before, get Johnny Eagle. You get more with Johnny Eagle.
Boys, look at these real trophy wall plaques and think how swell they'll look in your room. Get them in sets or separately. Magumba, Lieutenant, Red River, from Johnny Eagle, by Tupper.
I'm gonna get me one of them Johnny Eagle guns. And why did that waiter only have one eye? It's not like he's like winking either, like he's got one eye closed. It's just one eye. The hell? Love Fist is with us in chat. Welcome. And what did I just see? Oh, Bill N pointed out that they were old enough to get the dynamite reference. Yeah, I throw stuff out that the vast majority of people watching this will be like, what? What? I don't, huh? Camel? What the hell's a camel like with a hump? Huh? All right, so tonight we're going to dive on in and check out the latest edition of Basic Roleplaying from Chaosium Inc. It is written by Jason Durrell and Steve Perrin. This hardcover is going to carry an MSRP of $49.99 when it arrives in stores next month. From my understanding, it is slated to hit stores in October. The PDF is available right now. You can grab that over at DriveThruRPG for $24.99. If you happen to buy the hardcover from Chaosium Inc. or one of their bits and mortar partners, you will also get the PDF absolutely free. So let's swing on over to the other camera because here I've got Basic Roleplaying. I'm going to get this shrink wrap off here. Before we jump on in, I should mention that the fine folks over at Chaosium Inc. were kind enough to provide me with this review copy, but neither I nor anyone else affiliated with Gaming Gang has received any other sort of compensation for me to share this coverage with you. These days, it's very important that you know that. We're also not going to look at each and every page of Basic Roleplaying, but I do want to give you a very good feel for what's in this book. So let's take a look at the back. Basic Roleplaying is a system of core rules for tabletop role-playing. Whether you're a seasoned role-playing veteran or new to the hobby, Basic Roleplaying has everything you need for years of entertainment. It's going to tell us what's in the book, which I'm not going to read because we're going to open the book up and look inside ourselves. First thing I will say is that the paper stock is very nice. Very, very nice. Nice and thick. And as you can see, it does have a matte finish. There's no sheen to it. I know a lot of people really hate when some of the role-playing game books we take a look at have that finish to them. And I get it. I understand. It picks up glare, sometimes makes it a little more difficult to read. Uh-oh. Okay, so what is this? Like small font week? Look at this font. That is about the, actually, no, I take that back. The size of the font on the cards yesterday was a little bit smaller than this. So, Kevin R. Smith says, it's really thick paper, by the way. Hello to Kevin, who's hanging out with us in chat. Says it's really thick paper. I mean, it's only 260 pages and the book is thick. It is. Scott B. Smith says, what is this? A font for ants? Yeah, wow. Holy cow. I guess they are really looking to pack the content into the 260 odd pages of this. Man, oh man. Okay. I'm just kind of thrown off by it. So we get a bit of an introduction talking about probably the history of BRP, because it does power Call of Cthulhu and RuneQuest and Pendragon in certain ways. So it looks like we've got a glossary and creating characters. Now, one thing I will say is that I have always found Call of Cthulhu which is built on basic role playing, which the reality is basic role playing comes from RuneQuest and Call of Cthulhu, really, essentially. And I always found it to be very intuitive. There's just something about having skills, having a percentile chance of succeeding at those skills that really make things clear. So a discussion of the power level of your game. Now, keep in mind, this is a universal game engine. So this is really genreless and settingless. Omanal is with us in chat. Been a while since we've seen Omanal. Good to see you. Looks like we've got a bookmark. So step-by-step breakdown of creating your character. So we have name and characteristics, magic and powers, if you're utilizing anything like that, age and experience, characteristic roles, derived characteristics, personality type, optional, skill point allocation, distinctive features, that's an optional step as well, armor and equipment, and background, and final grooming. So we have the point-based character creation. If you don't want to be rolling your 6-sided dice. So let's discuss our characteristics. We got strength, constitution, size, which throws some people off when they're first introduced to, like, say, Call of Cthulhu or RuneQuest or basic role playing. Because, like, size, what does size have to do with anything? So it's kind of like, well, I mean, it does actually affect your hit points. You've got intelligence, POW, which in many ways, in many role-playing systems, POW is similar to wisdom. And it's more like how well in tune are you with the cosmos? So we also got dexterity and charisma. Kevin R. Smith says, I'll say that small font makes it worth your while to get this from Chaosium or another source that's going to give you the PDF with the hardcover. We've got our derived characteristics, hit points. Should mention that games that are built on basic role playing, normally, unless it's some sort of super heroic game that you're playing, your characters are squishy. You don't have 30 hit points. You have somewhere around anywhere between about 8 and 16, usually. Because you take your constitution and size, add them together, and then divide by 2. So you just average them out. That's kind of cool. Kind of cool artwork. Solid artwork throughout, it looks like. And then it's giving us a variety of, are these occupations? All different occupations here. Clerk, teacher, scientist, soldier, slave. Interesting. And then our finishing touches. Now we're going to get into skills. I would take a guess that we're going to have lots of skills. I would also take a stab that we're going to have a lot of optional rules here as well, because this is supposed to be able to cover you for fantasy role-playing, modern era role-playing, if you want to play like noir, sort of mystery games, superheroes, science fiction. Everything is pretty much covered in this book. Now, I'm sure a lot of people out there taking a look at this are going to think, wow, you know, this looks really complex. And I can't tell you as far as like if we start running into like optional stuff like powers, right? So We could be talking about like superhero powers or magical powers, things like that. I gotta be honest, I've never found Call of Cthulhu to be a difficult game to run. And most of the time, I have found first-time players with Call of Cthulhu haven't had any issues wrapping their head around the rules either. Now, there have been some changes over the years to kind of, like there was the resistance table that used to cause some people some issues because there was some, calculating that had to go into it. But that has gone the way of the dodo now. Looks like, so these are all different kind of powers. Hybrid. Such a mutant is a generic brand. Yeah, for a second I was like, oh, is that genetic? It says, no, it says generic. Such a mutant is a generic hybrid with the traits of 2 or more different types of animals. They might have lobster-like claws, a tiger head, or anything else imaginable. Natural weaponry. Oh, yes. There you go. A little Wolverine there. Schnick. Pheromones. Metabolic improvement. Metabolic weakness. So we have psychic combat. Lovefist says love resistance tables. So Kevin points out this book does have the resistance table, as does the current version of RuneQuest. I knew it was in RuneQuest. It is not in Call of Cthulhu anymore. I gotta be honest, I never found it to be all that difficult to figure out. So we have sorcery. Studying a grimoire. A grimoire is a collection of spells, lore, formulas, and rituals. Though these rules refer to a grimoire as a type of book, a grimoire might be a scroll, a staff carved with runes, or some other sort of record, perhaps protected with a code, written in a secret language, or obscured through some other means. It's on a DVD. Kevin says, I can just do the math without looking at the resistance table. In my opinion, now this is just me, to me, one of the big selling points of this book is if I wanted to take Call of Cthulhu into other eras or even other genres, because this provides me with all the rules that I would need. So as an example, if I wanted to say Call of Cthulhu with superheroes, right? The Lovecraft mythos with superheroes, which actually reminds me of a book series. I think the book series is over. I don't think the author's writing any more titles in the series, but I don't know if anybody out there in chat has read or listened to, because they were actually some pretty good audiobooks too. X-Heroes, EX-Heroes. That was a pretty cool series. And what it is, it's the zombie apocalypse with superheroes. Lovefist says Cthulhu Through the Ages is exactly that. I've never had an opportunity to check it out. Is there an edition of Cthulhu Through the Ages for 7th edition Call of Cthulhu? All right, here we go. We've got our combat. I will take a guess we're going to have a lot of optional rules for combat as well. Oh, there you go. Varying combat rules. Okay. So yeah, we are getting some. So Lovefist says, no, they don't believe so. That Cthulhu Through the Ages is available for 7th edition called Cthulhu. Kevin R. Smith says, I think Cthulhu Through the Ages is just a recapitulation of eras published pre-70 that haven't been converted yet. Tessie Trekkie, X-Heroes, St. George Dragon, and the Zombie Apocalypse. There you go. Yeah, Tessie Trekkie knows it. Don't spoil it. Man, Double T, you just spoiled the first book. That's, that's something that's, that's shared at the end of the first book. But yeah, really, it's really interesting, and it's in Hollywood. They're in LA. So Kevin says, yes, there is a 7th edition version that came out right after 70 Call of Cthulhu came out. It was a little bit of time before I actually got, I don't want to say on board, but got in sync with Chaosium Inc. They were pretty piecemeal as far as the releases that they would send out. Like I got PDFs of the 7th edition Call of Cthulhu when it was just the one book. So Tessie Trekkie says, X-Heroes get super screwed up as the series goes on. The 4th book I wasn't so keen on. It was kind of, for one, I'm never a fan of books or movies or TV shows where you have characters who are being mentally manipulated by some power. Never dig that. I don't know. To me, I think it's just, I find those stories to kind of be boring. And I think it's kind of a cheap, like, cop-out sort of thing. So here we've got our equipment section. Well, I'm kind of laughing because it's like, it's like this book, any other book, you'd be about, I don't know, 250 pages through, maybe even more. And just to show you how thick this page stock is, this paper stock is, we're on page 166. So it's like, whoa. So we've got things like various different grenades, great hammer, rocket launcher, laser pistol, a rapier. So it's telling us what these things are. We don't have artwork for each one, unfortunately. And then we're going to get our stats for them. So historic missile weapons, historic melee weapons, modern missile weapons, advanced melee weapons, as well as missile weapons. Now we get into armor. And in basic role-playing, just like RuneQuest, Call of Cthulhu, armor doesn't make you more difficult to hit. Armor protects you from damage. That's what armor does. Tessie Trekkie says their eyes aren't good enough for that font. I gotta be honest, I'm getting used to it. So right here, guided missiles. Forms of artillery such as missiles are guided through internal or external electronic targeting systems, making them much more accurate. If a missile is guided in this manner, it makes any skill use easy. So I can make it out, but that is a pretty small font. All right, so loads of equipment here. A section on game mastering. Who are you? In this chapter, you refers to the game master. There's nothing here that will spoil a player's enjoyment, but the material in this chapter is primarily useful only to the game master. So getting started. Of course, a game system like this is aimed at people who like to create their own homebrew settings, genres, this is aimed at somebody who, a game master who doesn't mind putting in the work. Luffist points out Chaosium did have a superhero game called Super World. Yep, that was way back in the day. They also had Dream Park. That was around the same time. Bill N says, I'll be so happy if the past and modern weapons make sense compared to each other. Not super realistic, just ballpark. Kevin R. Smith points out, just checked out the DriveThruRPG page for Cthulhu Through the Ages. It includes Cthulhu Invictus, Cthulhu Dark Ages, Cthulhu by Gaslight, and a few other eras I'm not sure Chaosium ever published. So those have got to be earlier editions, because as far as I know, there is no 7th edition. Well, there's no Cthulhu by Gaslight yet for 70, because that's on the horizon. I thought, I could be wrong, but I thought that is their next big Call of Cthulhu release. And I don't think there's a 7th edition Cthulhu Invictus. I think there is a 7th edition Cthulhu Dark Ages, which I've heard some people say is really good. I'm pretty sure we've got a review of it, but not a recent edition over on thegaminggang.com. Hell, I may have reviewed it. But I'm pretty sure we do have one. Luffist says Dark Ages is really good. So we are now into the bestiary here with various different creatures. Dragon, dwarf, elf, ghoul. So are we going to get Lovecraftian ghouls? Ghouls are hideously deformed humans who feed on the dead, caught between life and death. They are bestial in temperament and have little guiding intelligence. Nope. Those are traditional fantasy ghouls. Is that an ogre? Oh, a giant. There you go. I was going to say, yes, it's in alphabetical order, Jeff. I don't think they're jumping from ghoul to ogre in a page or two. So Kevin says, yep, it included the classic eras that they haven't gotten to yet in 7th edition. So we have summoned creatures. Do wish we had some more artwork than we have so far. It does seem a little light. Of course, now I say that, and every page I'm stopping at has artwork. So I have soldiers, and then we're looking at soldiers from 19th century. Although, I don't know, that could be a legionnaire from early 20th century. But that is obviously 19th century with the gators. And looks as if we've got some tables here, appendices. I'm not sure what that's supposed to be. Some giant woman interrupting a party. Mardi Gras party or something. So we have conversion notes. Oh, that's it. That's all we're going to have on the appendice. I guess bibliography. Index. Character sheets. So it does not look like Basic Roleplaying uses the 7th edition Call of Cthulhu with the hard and extreme as far as the skills go, which I'll be the first to point out I'm not a big fan. I wasn't a big fan of that change that Chaosium made. I, to be honest, spent, 30 some years running Call of Cthulhu where it's, okay, this is your skill, and if something's more difficult, well, then you're going to get a negative modifier. If something's easy, you're going to get a positive modifier, not this divide by 2, divide by 4. So we've got non-player character sheets here, vehicle sheet, mount sheet. Bill N says they're definitely going to be picking this up. Do want to mention, if you ever decide to make a purchase based on any of the video coverage you see here on the Gaming Gang, be it a first look like this video or a review, let the publisher know. So you can just touch base with them and let them know, hey, you know what? I saw Jeff over at the Gaming Gang do a first look at Basic Roleplaying, and I was like, wow, you know, I'm going to pick that up. That's why I bought it. You'd be amazed, because I say it all the time. A lot of publishers out there, they don't realize where their customers come from. They don't. Kevin says it has difficult rolls for half the score. It also, strangely enough, has positive and negative modifiers. I guess you can decide to use only one or the other if you want, as far as with Basic Roleplaying. I will have a review of this new edition of Basic Roleplaying in the not-so-distant future. This hardcover is arriving in stores, as far as I understand, this October. It's going to carry an MSRP of $49.99, as I mentioned previously. If you order from Chaosium Inc., you will also receive the PDF absolutely free. I believe that also goes for some of the bits and mortar partners that Chaosium might have. If you want to just grab the PDF, you can do that by swinging on over to DriveThruRPG, and you can get it for $24.99. Sweet. I'm looking forward to climbing on in and checking this out. So binding looks a little off on this, which, you know what? I don't mind, because I expect my review copies that come of like books and that to have little dings and dents. So that way the publisher isn't, you know, trying to sell it to somebody who's paying for their book, paying for their game. Lovefish says, I'm curious what differences there are from the previous edition. I'll be very honest, I'm not going to be able to really tell you much about that, because I've never really dug too deeply into the previous editions of Basic Roleplaying. I've peeked at them, but I haven't like gone in depth with them. Alrighty then, that is it for this time out. If you like the video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, be sure to ring that bell, because it'll not only let you know when the Dispatch streams live Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings at 7 p.m. Central right here on YouTube. Also let you know when I upload other videos, such as this coming weekend's review of Tales of the Valiant from Godfather Press. Stay tuned, take a peek at that. So next week, change things up a little bit. So I do know that the hardcover edition of Harnworld is going to be showing up tomorrow. So I already got a tracking number and everything else. So on Tuesday's show, we are going to take a look at the new print run of Harnworld. I think it's a 3rd edition, but at least this time it's in a hardcover book. And I think Grant over at Columbia Games is also sending me the book that is actually up on Kickstarter right now, or is just wrapped on Kickstarter. So we might take a quick peek at that. Then on Wednesday's show, we're not going to do a War Game Wednesday. We don't have to do War Games every Wednesday, but we will take a look at Healthy Heart Hospital from Sparkworks and Tabletop Tycoon. So that is on the agenda. And then on Thursday, this just arrived, we are going to take a look at the Star Shaman Song of Planegea. I almost said Plangea, but it's not. It's Planegea. This is from Atlas Games. So they sent this along. This is a 5e setting book. I believe it's supposed to be like a prehistoric setting. So we will dive on in and take a look at this a week from tonight. So kind of cool. Looks cool. And it has been a long, long time since I have seen anything actually from Atlas Games. Not just a role-playing game. I'm talking any game. And because Elliot used to do reviews of some of the Atlas games like Gloom and Cthulhu Gloom. I've never played any of them. So I'm looking forward to taking a peek at that for 5e D&D. Yes. If you're watching live, thank you very much. If you were watching live, took part in chat, tip of the cap, because not only are you keeping me company, you're also keeping each other company while I'm paging through a book or doing an unboxing of a board game. But of course, I know a lot of you don't have an opportunity to watch live. Doesn't matter if you're watching live or on Memorex. Really do appreciate each of you taking time out to watch any of the videos here on the channel. Everybody enjoy the rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time of day it is in your neck of the woods. Enjoy the rest of the week. Have a wonderful weekend. I will be back on Tuesday. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer, and I certainly hope all of you get to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.